Hey guys, so this is just a fulfilling soup that I use to maintain my weight during the winter and keep me satisfied. So let's get started with the ingredients. All the carbs that I purchased were from Whole Foods Market in the produce aisle. I also got the black beans, the onion, the peppers, and the carrot and the kale from Whole Foods. It's your preference if you want them to be organic or not, but I like them to be organic. I chose lamb as my meat because I love the flavor it brings to the soup, but you could choose any meat you want or no meat at all. These are all the seasonings that I use. The vinegar is really just to clean, not really for the flavor. You won't really taste it when it's cooked, but these are just a list of all the products I use. And you can all find these in Walmart or Kroger or Publix in the international aisle. So we're first going to start off by cutting the meat before we actually clean it so it absorbs it better. I'm going to be cutting along the bone, not into the bone, and holding it with my palm so I have enough stability and don't end up cutting myself. Now that the meat is all chopped up, we're going to clean it, and we're going to use 1/4 a cup of vinegar to sprinkle all over it. And this vinegar is really just to get away all the unwanted bacteria before you consume it. Next, we're gonna add the Marsala wine. You could also get that from Publix or Walmart, and this wine is really used to enhance the flavor with all the spices in it so that you could taste it better. Okay, now it's time to season the meat. I don't have specific measurement. I really just eyeball it. I like to see the top layer of it covered so that I can mix it up, and I feel like that's enough seasoning. I like my stuff with lots of flavor. I'm actually gonna wait to add the salt at the end or while it's cooking because I don't like my meat to be too salty. Next, I'm going to cover the meat with the press and seal just to kind of let it sit in the fridge and let the flavors absorb. And now we're going to start preparing the other ingredients. So I first started off by rinsing the yucca and the Japanese sweet potatoes. I'm going to get a peeler and I'm going to peel them before I actually chop them up. I like to peel downwards away from my fingers so I don't end up accidentally cutting myself. Okay, now that all of it's peeled, it's time to chop them. You could see I'm struggling at first, so I had to end up using my weight and pressing down on my palm to actually cut them in half and chop them to make it easier. I'm gonna use a smaller knife to just kind of like get all the knickknacks off of the potatoes and the yucca. So now that we're done peeling the yucca and the potatoes, Now it's time to peel the carrots, and I just finished rinsing them, so now I'm going to start peeling them downwards just like I did for the Yucca potatoes so that I can protect my fingers and don't get cut. Just stopping to show you guys the difference between a carrot that's correctly peeled and not. Alright, so when chopping the carrots, I usually make them like an inch apart, but you can make them as small as you want or as big as you want according to your preference.
Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, well, I don't wanna jinx it, baby, and twist myself at the spine. Don't wanna overthink it, baby. It's just twist your body and mine. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, but I don't wanna jinx it, baby. Let's not get ahead of my time. Oh, but I don't wanna miss you, baby. So I stand up and speak my mind. Oh. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're chilling wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're channeling wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, 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 oh.
So when it comes to sodium, I like using a grinder, and I like the Himalayan pink salt because it's actually healthy for you, and the grinder helps you manage how much sodium you take in. When the meat is brown on the other side, that's when it's time to actually flip it. After you're done flipping all the pieces, it's time to cover it and then wait for the other side to get brown. So now we're going to actually start up the soup, and we're going to start off by adding some olive oil to the base of the pot so that it covers it. And just like the meat, you have to wait for the oil to bubble before adding the beans. After the beans, you'll add the vegetable broth. And when the majority of the meat is brown, it's time to add the chicken broth and the peppers and onions. Now to add more flavor, this is optional, you could add some cloves, but make sure you remove them because it's not gonna be a happy ending if you end up eating one. Promise you. When the beans and the broth start to boil, that's when you can add the potatoes and all the vegetables to the pot. And then you're gonna add 8 total cups of water. When the onions and the meat is cooked, you could add it to the pot. You could see I'm struggling just by doing it one by one. So you could just pour the whole thing in there, but just make sure you take these out. So I am adding more seasoning. Really, it's based off of your preference. You're supposed to like taste it as you're cooking it so you can know how much to put. It's time for dumplings. Okay, so for the dumplings, I'm using whole wheat flour because it's healthier. When you're doing the dumplings, it's the same thing. I don't use specific measurements. I kind of eyeball it. And what you're really aiming for is a pizza dough consistency. So I'm just gonna keep adding water and mixing it in until it gets that consistency. I added a bit more flour just to kind of like balance it out because I added too much water. Okay, so when the dough is ready, you're basically gonna pull your sizes apart the shape of your thumb. So you want it to be as long as your thumb and as thick or thicker than your thumb, and that's a good size to base it off of. When you're done rolling the dough for the dumplings, you're going to add them to the pot. Then you're going to cook it for 20 minutes and then the soup is finished. This soup is really good for people that have iron or protein deficiencies. Even if you're vegan, the kale and the beans still provide the same benefits. So this brings me to the end of my video. This is the finished product and I hope you guys enjoyed it.